concerns about Ameri and the power plant and all of that. We had Dr. Kwabena Donkor in this studio. You will hear him. At the tail end of his conversation with us, he mentioned Bright Simmons as one of those who doesn't quite understand it, but who is making sufficient noise about it. So what did we do? After the program, at the risk of overrunning our time, Bright Simmons also came in. We have put this video for you together to see what Dr. Kwabena Donkor said and what Bright Simmons said, so that you can make your own opinion. This is Good Evening Ghana official on Facebook. Thank you, friends, for watching it, and let us know what you think about it. But the conversation on Ameri is not over yet. It will continue to happen. So let's come to the Ameri one. How many megawatts does it produce?
Well, it has an installed capacity of 250.
Okay. Who is Ameri?
Ameri stands for Africa, Middle East Energy Resources.
Who is the chief executive?
Well, I don't have to know. I don't even know the current chief executive.
I'm asking this question because the research information from journalists is indicating that there's a 29-year-old young man who is owner of Ameri.
Well, does the age matter?
No, it doesn't.
He is a member of the Al Maktoum royal family of Dubai, and that alone should ring bells. So the age really doesn't matter.
Okay. Now, what did they do for us, Ameri?
Basically, Ameri was a developer. When you, in the power business, you sign a contract with a developer, the developer puts together either a consortium or brings in subcontractors to execute a particular power project. Our contract was signed with the developer. And therefore, the relationship...
What was he going to develop for us?
Well, a power plant.
Couldn't we buy it and develop it? So, Ameri, we had to get this contractor in because there was a loose policy that private sector must come in to participate. GRICO was created so that the private sector can see or make projections about how it will get its money back.
Remember, as far back as more than 15 years ago, the first private sector generator came into Ghana, TICO. TICO has been in this country for more than 15 years. There is someone as Sogli.
Yeah.
Also,
so Ameri was not the first. That's the point.
No,
and in all of these matters, private sector.
But Ameri was different.
Why?
Ameri was different because the rest were straightforward IPPs, and I will show you why. But Ameri, we decided at the ministry that, look, why don't we do something innovative, something different? In that, if we don't have the finance to purchase the plants, and remember those plants were recommended by VRA, the TM 25-0s. If we don't have the funding, why don't we come out with an innovative way? Do a build, operate, own and transfer.
Build, operate, own and transfer.
Yes.
Instead of an IPP.
Instead of
IPP is an independent power producer.
Instead of a straightforward IPP.
IPP which runs in perpetuity.
Yeah, for usually 20-year contract.
What happens after the 20 years? Does it transfer?
No.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
A renegotiation of the contract happens after 20 years.
Possibly.
Okay. So, but that's interesting, and I like that. So you're saying that on Ameri, we will be owning it after how many years?
5 years.
Which year does that occur?
We're already 1 year and a few months into the 5 years.
2020 thereabout. So it becomes our property.
Property.
What's the lifespan of the plant?
Minimum 20 years.
Okay, that's interesting. So lifespan of the plants is 20 years. 15 years we will have it to use, and we would have paid off. Could we be owing Ameri by the time we take it?
No.
Everything would have been paid?
Yes, VRA will take over the plant for zero.
Full custody, and it will become a plant for VRA?
Yes.
Okay, and it will become part of VRA's assets?
Well, it becomes a plant of the state, but VRA for now will operate it.
The point I'm making, Honorable Minister, is that in the history of the IPPs that we've had, in the history of the independent power producers, Ameri will be the only one that has a transfer factor in the
Precisely. IPPs. We introduced IPPs because the Ghanaian state could not, going forward, bear the cost of this. That was why IPPs were introduced in the first place.
That's understandable.
But let me just show you a few things. We did some analysis. For example, AXA. AXA is an IPP. If you take the tariff, both the capital recovery and then the capacity tariff for AXA, in 5 years, we would have paid $653 million.
For how many megawatts?
The same
230,
which is the guaranteed minimum.
AXA is in Ghana today?
It's in Ghana.
Who procured it? Which year did they come in?
One of the emergency plans.
Okay, so that's
a straightforward IPP.
Yes, you're saying that in 5 years, AXA would have been more than Ameri.
Would have been paid.
But we won't own it.
We won't own it. That is just...
But you negotiated that as well?
Yes.
But why didn't you negotiate for it?
Excuse me. Even Ameri, look at the hue and cry arising out of ignorance.
No, why didn't you negotiate AXA for it to transfer?
You need various mixes. You need various mixes. If you take the Senate plant, owned by SNET, in 5 years, we would have paid $372 million.
It's also giving 230?
Yes, we are using the same 230.
Okay.
Senate would have paid $372 million in 5 years. At the end of it, we don't own the plant.
But why
if
did
you take Cal Power,
a BOOT?
If you take Cal Power, in 5 years, at the same rate, we would have paid $672 million. We don't own the plant.
How much did we end up paying for Ameri? How much?
We'll be paying about 510.
Okay. The energy minister's report indicated commissions paid of $150 million. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely no commission has been paid. It is a total misunderstanding of this. Look, there is this situation. We signed a contract with Ameri, and this is the contract approved by the Parliament of Ghana. If you read this, when we went to Parliament, went before the Committee of Mines and Energy, they asked for further particulars, and that was how all the various scenarios were calculated and sent to them. By consensus, there was not a single dissent.
In Parliament, you mean?
At the committee level.
Okay.
So the committee recommended to the plenary by consensus.
What happened at the plenary?
They asked questions. At the plenary, it was approved.
By majority.
Massively. Well, massively. It was approved. Go into a contract with a developer. Do I get value for money? Absolutely. Ameri is the cheapest tariff levelized over 20 years.
How much are we paying per kilowatt hour?
Levelized for 20 years, we are paying 11
cents.
Yeah.
Okay. Civil society people think there's a lot wrong with it.
Which civil society people?
Oh, the people from Imani, Bryce Simmons and others.
I wouldn't even say it's Imani as a whole. It's Bryce Simmons. People have their own agenda and their own understanding. And none of them has even sat down with the people who negotiated this. Professionals. Remember, this is not done by the minister. There's a government negotiating team made up of the Ministry of Power, the Attorney General's Department, Ministry of Finance, EC,
but at least the Energy Ministers Committee said it was fraud.
It was fraud. I don't think so. From the report I read, which is not signed, so I don't even know how authentic.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. They claim that they should invite Ameri to the negotiating table. And if Ameri doesn't come, then they terminate on grounds of fraud. If something is fraudulent, do you
we'll have to leave it here. But I heard Dr. Kwabena Donkor, and in his last words, he seemed quite angry with Bryce Simmons. So we asked Bryce to come into the studio. So here is Bryce and I, after Kwabena Donkor had left. Bryce Simmons is here. The minister says that you have a personal agenda in derailing the whole Ameri project. You heard him. He says Ameri is the best because it's a BOT with transfer. We get ownership of that, and that's the first time that has ever happened. Is that not commendable?
Oh, well, I don't understand the point. I mean, he says so many things. I just have to literally go one by one and explain in great detail why each of those things that he said are simply wrong. With all due respect, he was the minister, but it does appear that either he was not hands-on and therefore he doesn't have the facts, or
what did he say that was not factual?
Well, he said that the turbine, it's the TM2500, and the turbines cost $220 million. That's wrong.
He said it cost $22 million, and we needed 10 of them.
Per each. It's wrong.
How much does it cost?
The turbine is the LM2500. LM2500. if you add all the different components and you put it together into what is called a power plant in a box, then you get a TM-2500.
How much does it cost?
The turbine itself costs $9.5 million on the open market.
If you put all in the box?
$22 million.
Yes.
Yes, but then when you put all of those things in the box, then you don't have to buy all those components that he was listing about, apart from the very minor wiring and cabling, the ducting, the
What
ventilation.
other thing did he say? The thing that he said was $350,000.
Well, no, he ended up, yeah, he was mentioning things that were $350,000.
Yes.
Then he told you that eventually when he went to Parliament, the total EPC cost was $338 million. Okay. To move from $220 million to $338 million, there must have been a lot of stuff you've added to the stuff.
He had an itemized bill in his hand.
Yeah, and those itemized
which
billing,
he showed to Parliament.
A good chunk of the problem that has arisen is that the minister cannot seem to distinguish between the turbine that is inside the TM-2500 and the other components which together makes up the TM-2500.
That's long. Let's get back to the ordinary man's conversation.
Very good. Now, those
he says
have been converted into power plants.
Well, minister says we are going to be owning this thing after 5 years. Is it good or bad?
It doesn't matter
that's the only one.
The costs, by the time you own it in 5 years, the plant will have depreciated.
No, he says it's a 20-year lifespan.
Yeah, but the 20-year lifespan, it's
so
an
5 gone, there's
condition.
15 years more.
A normal combined cycle gas turbine plant would be 40 years to 50 years. So this is a much, shall I say, a much easily depreciated asset compared to your normal gas. That's why, in a way, you have to get them cheaper upfront.
Okay.
So the point is that, first of all, no, this is very critical. First of all, the $338 million is not possible. It's not possible because when you buy the TM-2500, a lot of the components that you need to get to the plant are already there.
How much should it be instead of a $338?
Okay, so you get $220 million. You need an additional roughly $25 million to get your complete power system.
Okay, given that you needed it immediately, would it cost more?
Good. So let's say you decide that you were going to consider a number of financing options. Any financing option that you take, that a reasonable person will have taken to get to the final outcome, will have been cheaper than what he got us.
You haven't quite answered my question. Would it be more expensive if you need it now?
No, we needed it in February 2015 when we signed the plant almost immediately. They ended up delivering it 1 year later. So after the talk around, it was an emergency and we didn't have 6 months, that's just complete rubbish.
That's interesting. It was delivered in February 2016.
Minimum, yeah. It started operating in February 2016. So you couldn't have got it any earlier by simply going through Ameri. Don't forget that these are plants that have been designed by GE to be ready to go. When GE sells you the TM-2500, it assures you that in 3 days, it can get it producing power.
How much should we have paid, right, so that we can discuss the deficit?
It's very simple. You go and buy a plant. Each of those plants is the turbine plus almost everything else you need to have a power plant on its own. Each one of those things is a power plant on its own. When depending on the system you want to create.
Did we need to do some groundworks for the
Very
thing
good.
to
We
come
pay
in?
for it.
Yes, but that's part of the cost.
No, it's not part of the cost. We pay for it separate from what you are paying Ameri. Okay. The groundwork, Ameri didn't have to buy land or lease land. We pay for it because we use the Takoradi power station. Ameri didn't have to bother about security because it's this house inside the Takoradi power station. Ameri didn't have to bother about mineralized water for coolants in the system because we are providing it. As we speak.
He's concerned about your agenda, and you also seem to be concerned about
My agenda is very simple. Rarely do you have any kind of public policy advocacy in this country which can lead to results now. This Ameri deal can lead to results now. If we are successful in forcing the government to renegotiate and cut the cost of Ameri, the cost, every money that we pay every month will come down. The effect over time on tariffs will also come down. The average factory in America consumes about 100,000 kilowatts per hour of power and pays $6,500. The average factory in Ghana pays $38,000 for the same amount of power. It is because of deals like this, which most of them makes absolutely no sense. You are talking about the levelized cost of power.
What's your recommendation?
The levelized cost of power
for this deal.
What's
your recommendation?
Sorry?
Recommendation.
My question is very simple. We've been overcharged by Ameri. The minister and those that worked on the deal should join the government of the day. We should, according to the contract, there's a 3-stage process. Voluntary negotiations, an expert mediator, and then arbitration. Hopefully we get much out of negotiation. If not, we go to the mediator. In all of those instances, we will need Dr. Kwabena Donkor and the other senior government functionaries that work on the deal to testify on our behalf that These were the figures that were given by Ameri. Unfortunately, it's been proven that those figures are not true, and therefore Ameri is overcharging.
Okay. I think that's a clear recommendation.
No,
Thank
but
you,
I
Brett.
didn't really explain anything.
No, you
I don't know, but
you
I mean, I
didn't
didn't
explain
explain
the
anything.
difficulties about it.
No, but I was also going to explain that Ameri is the most expensive power plant in Ghana.
Yeah, you said that.
No, once you add fuel,
No, you
it's
said that.
in excess of 24 cents.
You said that. You said that. You said fuel. You said water as well.
I'm saying because we produce all those things. Well, the last point I want to make is very simple. The capacity charge that we are paying on that plant is so higher compared to all the others that alone shall tell him something. If you look at the plants that he was mentioning, Senate and the rest, you see all of them below 5 cents per kilowatt hour in terms of capacity charge. The precise capacity charge that Ameri is charging is almost 15 cents.
What's capacity charge?
Capacity charge is what you pay regardless of whether you are getting the power or not.
Okay. The one Dr. Bawumia says we shouldn't pay more than 10 cents.
Yes, but I haven't heard Dr. Bawumia. What I'm saying is
at the
very good.
100
But the
days
point is that we are paying nearly 15 cents as capacity charge and paying just half a cent for the energy
all
charge.
you are saying is expensive.
It's supremely expensive.
Yeah, but for ordinary people to understand, capacity charge.
Secondly, if we had gone and borrowed, we would have got it cheaper. The only way you get...
Have we gone and borrowed for any of these power plants? Because he talked about the government policy.
Well, SNITS is a government agency that is investing in Senates.
Yes,
They
but
didn't get it for
that's the
free.
only one you can say.
No, you can say several of them.
Which one?
The various TAPCO plans that we've been working on, who's been financing them?
We
Are they not
borrowed
project
money.
recourse? Of course, we borrow money sometimes through the state-backed guarantees and the rest of it. But the fact of the matter is that regardless of how you finance this, you will still have made payments. We are making payments, if you add fuel and everything,
You have to go.
almost $200 million every month for Ameri. Almost $200 million every month for Ameri. If the power plants will have cost $220 million, and you are going to pay almost $200 million fuel plus the capital assets,
And the
on
water.
what basis and the water and all that, on what basis do you make the argument that Ameri is cheaper or that we couldn't have afforded to pay for Ameri? Almost $200 million in fuel, other auxiliary costs.
We will
plus
interrogate this
the
next
capacity
week
charge.
because I think next week there's more issues coming up on this. Are you in town next week, by the way?
I'm happy to come in and spend
Okay,
more
all
time
right.
unraveling.
So we'll
this
leave it
one.
here. We'll leave it here tonight, Chris. So now you know the story. What do you think? You've heard Kwabena Donkor. You've heard Bright Simmons. Send it to Good Evening Ghana official, and the conversation will go on. Thank you for watching. Watch it again. Send it to your friend. Let him also see it, and tell us what you like about it.